Let me explain to you why some people oppose the MMR vaccine. In every single dose of an MMR shot, there are literally millions of pieces from the cultured cell line of an aborted fetus in every single injection. Now, again, that might sound crazy, but I could literally pull up right now the CDC's own ingredient list for the MMR vaccine. Anybody can do this at home. Just Google vaccine excipient list, CDC, and you can pull it up and you can see it has MRC5, WI38. Those are cultured cell lines from aborted fetus, because you have to grow viruses in a cell. Viruses won't just grow. They have to grow in cells. That's how they replicate. They take over the machinery of a cell. So you have to grow it on a cellular substrate. So how do they grow the rubella virus? They grow it on these cultured cell lines from aborted fetus.
Where do they get aborted fetuses?
From babies that are aborted.
From abortion clinics.
It has to be. You can't use. So the cells need to be alive. Okay, so you understand, like, the aborted fetal tissues has to remain alive to be used. And so, I depose, for example, the world's leading vaccinologist, Dr. Stanley Plotkin, and that deposition is actually available on thehighwire.com. The whole deposition, 9 hours, is available there. Okay.
Parts of it are available on X, and
yes,
I watched part of it in preparation for this interview, and was so shocked and revolted by it. I was already on your side, obviously, as a parent of a child who was vaccine injured. So I'm in tune with everything you're saying. But that deposition with Dr. Stanley Plotkin, who's still alive, 93, I checked, was one of the most shocking things I've ever seen in my life.
You watched the whole thing?
No, I watched selections of it. Okay,
yeah. And so then about what the clip I'm about to talk about, which is relating to just one study that was done that involved over 70 normal, healthy fetuses, right? There was nothing wrong, no abnormalities, that were aborted for the purposes of this one study. I mean,
past the first trimester, but they're all older than 3 months, he said.
That's right. And some of them, absolutely. And what they do is they take those, in that one study, those 70-something babies, and they they chop them up into little each body part. So they take the tongue, the lung, the liver, every body part, and they chop them up into little cubes, and then they try to culture viruses on them, because they want to see which part of the body is the best suited for growing the virus used in the vaccine. And so this is, in any event, and there's a lot, anybody who wants can research about this.
So this is answering the question, why is this a religion for some people? There's some heavy stuff going on.
You mean for folks who don't want to receive the vaccine?
No. For people who support them.
Well, there's a
human sacrifice quality here. Sorry. That was my takeaway from that interview. And I think you actually asked him, are you an atheist? Yes, I am.
Yes. Well, the case was about a religious belief that our client had, contrary to the practice of vaccination. They didn't want to vaccinate her kid. And he decided to volunteer, for reasons I'll never understand, to be an expert. And he came to the deposition. He didn't come to trial. In that study, they were trying to figure out which body part was best to use. So the one that they ended up with was actually from the lung of the aborted baby, aborted fetus. So it's lung fibroblasts are the where the cells the substrate that ended up working. So they tried with tongue, it didn't work as well. And there's a number of qualities they're looking for. How well does the virus replicate? Are there other potential, viruses back, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth. Well, what's the best medium to do it in? And so there's.
But you said that the cells have to be alive. So where do the bodies come from? Do we know?
When the baby is aborted for the purposes, and they're typically aborted for the scientific purpose, right? I mean, they have to know beforehand for the most part, because if they abort the baby and they don't immediately act to make sure that the tissues don't die, then you can't use them in these experiments. So, and this is I'm
about as uncomfortable as I've ever been in an interview right now. This is like really beyond that this happens. And
the reason I know about any of these things is because in these depositions with regards in these depositions, regards to religious beliefs, the issue of aborted fetal tissues come up. And so a lot of times they like to say, oh, well, it only involved a few babies way back when. And so I have a whole series in these depositions of showing, no, it's not just a few babies way back when. It was a lot of babies, and it's still ongoing, and this industry has only grown.